Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Just like the sunrise, we gonna light it up. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Just like the sunrise, we gonna light it up.
Ember. Oh, Ember.
Miss Ember.
Oh, great, Ember. Tell me what I'm doing.
Hey, Ember. How you doing?
Appreciate you, Ember.
Love Ember. She's great.
We will be yelling at Ember.
Bottom of the barrel Ember bullshit.
Oh my God, Ember. Ember. Ember.
Ember.
Ember's
Ember.
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 We love you, Ember.
You rock at that, Ember.
We're neighbors, Ember. Ember is the queen.
What's up, Ember?
I see you, Ember.
But hey, Ember is hot.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you enjoyed the previous show. If you're watching in the future, we did a previous show on this channel. It's a vertical live stream that's immediately before this one. It's called Job and Jugs, and we do it every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and it leads into this one, which is every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we learn things together live. If you're new, greetings. I'm Ember. Please hit the subscribe button. It helps. It helps me. It also helps you. It gets more shows like this in your feed. Shows where we learn things together live. Hence the name. I know, creative, right? Today, because we just had a Valentine's Day, if you're watching in real time. If you're watching in the future, then maybe not so much. Maybe it's next year's Valentine's Day, though. Who knows? But hello, future people, regardless. Valentine's Day wasn't always Valentine's Day. Much of what we consider to be Valentine's traditions, however, are influenced by an ancient Roman festival, which actually lasts from the 13th through the 15th, called Lupercalia, or Lupercal. Now, many of you may have heard of this at some point, but aren't super familiar with what it is, what it means, what happens, or maybe you are and you're an enthusiast. Either way, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to be diving into that today. But before we get started, a quick note. It's Monday's a very busy morning, folks. It's also Aromantic Awareness Week because we queers love irony. So in celebration, I'm going to be designing an arrow flag next. As many of you who've been around for a little while know, I've been taking space art, space photos and turning them into art in the pride flags. We have several already. We started with scrolling. I need to get to the overlay section. Okay, here we go. We started with this way. This way. Mirrored versus not mirrored cameras. It's different on every freaking thing. Anyway, the current pride flag, the more inclusive intersex included pride flag. And what happened was in 2024, Rachel Lenz, a NASA researcher, created the original pride flag out of NASA imagery. In 2025, the incoming presidential administration erased it because it was on NASA servers, and he's evil. But so for this year, to kind of stick it to the tiny-handed tyrant, I rebuilt the flag. I tracked down the original images it was made from in the first place and put it back together, and then upgraded it to the current, more inclusive version. And people have been going nuts about it. It's gone kind of viral. I'm not sure exactly how viral, because there's this trend in virality. When a thing starts to take off, much bigger platforms will screenshot your thing and then share it on their own thing. So I don't know how far and wide it is actually spread, because screenshots of that have gone viral, not so much the thing itself. It's a way for people to pirate the traffic of other people's creations, and it's kind of bullshit, but what can you do? But it generated a whole lot of traffic to the website, betterthanember.com, where I have a free version of the highest resolution image of that flag available for people who want it for like their phone lock screens, or to make things to hang over their bed, whatever the case may be. There's a free version on the website. People were demanding prints of it. And so I made it available as a print, but people didn't want just prints. They wanted flags. So I found a way to make flags, and you can get those on the store, also at betterthanember.com. There's a store link. You can head right over, and there's flags available. Those were far and away the most popular item in my store, like more than everything else put together. So people were like, hey, I like this flag, but what about the trans flag? What about the intersex flag? What about the ace flag? And so I've made all of those flags. Those are currently available. And the next one I'm going to work on is the arrow flag. So stay tuned, check back to the store often, and let me know which flags you would like to see next, because honestly, they're fun, they're cool, they're for science, and I do make a little bit of money on those, and I do need to make money to afford food. So I would like to do that. I would like to make things that people will give me money for so I can afford food. That was a really long way to say it's Arrow Month, and we've got a new flag coming soon. Hooray. All right. Thank you all so much for joining. I want to start over here in the internets, the encyclopedias, with the basics of Lupercalia. So here's a painting from 1635, apparently. And I don't know why they're painting about this in 1635. Perhaps they were still doing it in 1635. I don't freaking know. But we've got our celebrants running around with, oh, I can't, scroll, I say, scroll. First of all, the level of detail on these paintings, pretty good for middle Renaissance. Like, we aren't quite to the Dutch masters era yet, but it's pretty decent detail. Much better than what we were getting in the Middle Ages. My goodness. But these strips, these are strips from goats and things that are sacrificed for this festival. These strips of hide are called februa. That's where the month gets its name from, because February is the month where this festival happens. The Romans used to be poetic about naming things, and then we get to March, where it's the month where you march. Super. But yeah, the februa, they were just strips of hide from a sacrificed animal, and because it's from the sacrificed animal, it conveys certain blessings. And so you would beat people with them to make childbirth easier. In theory, it was a fun time. It was pretty wild, but it was fun. Not as much fun, though, as sending a super chat like Miranda just did. Thank you, Miranda, who sends us $5 and says, Happy Arrow Week. Looking forward to the flag. Hell yeah. It should be pretty neat. I know a lot of people aren't too keen on being Arrow separate from being Ace, but you can be Ace and still be very romantic. And so that's why we need Arrow as a separate thing. There's also aromantic people who are just fine with sex. And that's, humans come in all kinds of flavors. And celebrating that is fucking marvelous. So yay. Let me see here. I wanted to, nope. I'm opening wrong windows. Why am I doing this? Why are you like this, Ember? My goodness. All right. I'm just gonna use the back button to go back. I can't escape. All right. Lupercalia, Festival of Lupercal, because in Latin, things had like multiple names depending on the tense and the usage and a bunch of other weird grammatical rules that nobody really understands anymore. Let's be honest, no one really understands how English works either. We're all just kind of making it up as we go, It was a pastoral festival of ancient Rome observed annually on the 15th of February, 13th through 15th, give or take, to purify the city, promoting health and fertility. Citation. Lupercalia was also known as Dies Februatus, or Dies, whatever, after the purification instruments called Februa, the basis for the month named Februarius. Like I just said, but it's fine. We're gonna, with encyclopedias, you're gonna get stuff repeated that you already know, but you're also gonna get some new stuff. Hopefully, some new stuff. So yeah, the festival was originally known for the purifications or the purgings. So welcome to the purge, folks. We're in purge month. Oh my goodness. But better than that is Lil of all trades also sent us a $5 super chat. Thank you, Lil, saying you must be a compound of beryllium, gold, and titanium because you are beautiful. All heart. Thank you, Lil. We were doing a thing on the preceding show on Java and Jugs. I wanted to have like a pickup line competition, and for some reason, everyone sent pickup lines at me. Some of them were literally cheesy and that they were based on cheese. Some were chemistry, and the chemistry ones are fucking great. But like some of them were just so sweet and they made me all blushy, and it was an experience I had not anticipated when I got up this morning, but it was pretty neat. Miranda says, I'm Arrow, but not Ace. The split attraction model is real, so recognizing the two separately is super important to me. I tend to agree. My oldest, for instance, is Ace, but not Arrow. They're like so romantic. It's great. And I'm kind of the same way. Like I'm demisexual, which is to say I don't experience really strong attraction until I already have a significant connection to the person, usually an emotional one. But sometimes I can, and that's fine. That's great. But also I'm so sappy. It like makes me sick sometimes. I'm just like, I'm so easy to fluster. So, yeah. So it definitely is a split thing. They're not related in the slightest. Oh, let's see. And I kind of noticed that this holiday, for all the talk about romance, Valentine's Day, Lupercalia, all that stuff, it's not actually about romance. It's about fertility, and they're not the same thing. My goodness. All right, so Februata was the patron deity. Well, if it's her role, it's a her deity, then it would be the matron deity of the month. I realize a lot of Americans don't understand that patron comes from Petrus, or father. So if you're applying it to a feminine person, it would be matron. I get that a lot of people don't get that, but that is how that works. So it would be matron deity of the month. To a supposed purification deity called Februs. Oh, I have to see what this says. An ancient italic god. He gods in italics, folks. That's how that works. An italic god of purifications, the purity god. we have a fertility god and a purity god being celebrated at the same time. What could possibly go wrong? Oh my goodness. Worshipped by both the Romans and Etruscans. He was also worshipped as the god of the underworld by the Etruscans, pure underworld, love it. For them, Februarus was also the god of riches and death, which are both connected loosely to the underworld. Sure, why not? And to the month of February, the shortest month in the Roman calendar, from which the Julian and Gregorian month of February derived. It eventually was placed second in the order, preceded by Ianarius or Januarius, and followed by Martius in the oldest Roman calendars. So yeah, isn't it so weird that like Europeans don't have European gods anymore? Like they're neo-pagans, they're reconstructionists of the old faiths like heathenry and Astaru and so forth. Celts, of course, Wiccans, all that sort of stuff. But like we don't have the old European gods the same way we used to anymore. The older traditions in Europe are all imported from the Middle East. So all these white supremacy boys who are praising Middle Eastern deities, it's a little weird. But also, we kept the names from Rome and the days of the week from the Vikings, and like nothing makes any sense. It's everything just language in a trench coat. It's what? So the name of Lupercalia was believed in antiquity to evince some connection with the ancient Greek festival of the Arcadian Lycaea. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'm from the US. I can't pronounce things. My apology. But in any case, Wolf Festival of ancient Greek, from the Latin lupus. Well, other way around. The Latin version is lupus. Lycian. Okay. Yeah. Lupus, Lycia. It's fine. So it was assumed to be a Greek equivalent to Faunus. Scroll up. In ancient Roman religion, Faunus was a rustic god of the forest, plains, and fields. When he made cattle fertile, he was called Inus, and when they gave birth, he was called Autus. I made that last part up, but it's funny. He came to be equated in literature with the Greek god Pan, after which Romans depicted him as a horny god. I mean, a horned god. That joke never gets old. It's fine. And what else never gets old? Super chats. Ambush Deposit sends us $5. Thank you, Seth, and says, thanks for being awesome, member. You rock. Fuck yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. I understand that Seth and Lilith recently had a chat about nationalist Christians. I have yet to check that out, but it's on my list. I wonder, do I still... I don't still have the thing. Where did I put the thing? It was was it? Maybe it's this one. It might be this one. Let me check the link and see where this goes to. Because I linked so many things in the previous show's chat. Okay, it is that link. All right. So here's the link to that thing. Because, you know, nationalists. What can you do? Anyway. Continuing on. Oh. Yeah. All right. Ovid connects Februare to an Etruscan word for purging. So it's okay. What do we mean by purging? Do we mean purging in the purification sense, or do we mean purging as in the emptying your stomach sense, as in the you've just eaten uncooked sacrificial animal meat, or you drank too much celebratory wine, or what? What do we mean? With Romans, you never really know, but I'll say this, the concept of sin as it's understood today didn't really exist back then. And so there wasn't this idea that you had to purge yourself of impurities in that purity kind of way. It usually meant emptying things. It was just part of the festival. It was like a juice cleanse, but with wine or something. So the name was believed in antiquity to evince some connection with the ancient Greek festival. Didn't I cover this? It's repeating itself. The fucking encyclopedia is repeating itself. It's fine. Justin describes a cult image of the Lycian god, whom the Greeks call Pan and the Romans Lupercus, say as nude, save for a goat skin girdle. We do love us a good girdle, don't we, girls? I don't know how good goat skin would do, but why not? The statue stood in the Lupercal, and this is where the name comes from, is there is an actual physical cave in Rome where, according to legend, Romulus and Remus, the founders of the city, were suckled by a she-wolf, Lupa, from whence the name derives. The cave lay at the foot of the Palatine Hill, on which Romulus was thought to have founded Rome, the first of the hills. And the name of the festival most likely derives from lupus for wolf, though both the etymology and its significance are obscure, because language was evolving long before the Romans showed up. Details. The wolf appellation may have to do with the fact that an animal predator plays a key role in male rites of passage. And this is a thing. This is one of the things that makes the patriarchy of today what it is male rite of passage involved hunt, kill, bring back food kind of thing. And they did a similar thing in Carthage where it depended on your rank. Like if you were just coming of age as a man in one of the clans or tribes or whatever, you just had to kill something and bring it back to prove that you could provide for the family. But if you wanted to ascend to like a high rank, like royalty, like if you wanted to take the throne, then you had to kill an apex predator, like a lion, you know? And if you failed at it, you just weren't worthy of the throne. And so I get kind of the symbolism of it. You had to prove you were stronger and more cunning than the lion to lead the nation. But also, we get so much modern alpha male bullshit from that. Like there's this stolen valor of the Andrew Tates and the other jerk-offs who lose immediately when they get into a real fight with a real warrior. That because they're a man, they automatically gain the glory of being able to kill an apex predator when they just can't, you know? So, oof. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of Roman history. There's a lot of Roman tradition. There's a lot. So to help us understand what the fuck is going on, I tracked us down a brief video that hopefully is helpful. I didn't have time to watch the dang thing all the way through, so we'll see how it goes. And if it's bad info, we'll try to correct it together. But if it's good info, we'll all learn stuff together. Either way, it'll be fun. So stick around.
Roses, chocolates, and candlelight dinners might define Valentine's Day now, but its roots are far from sweet and romantic. Imagine a festival of blood sacrifices, fertility rituals, and wild celebrations where people embrace their primal, untamed energy. This is Lupercalia, the pagan
There are several other festivals where people do. Like if you've ever been to a Beltane rite, holy shit, people get kind of wild. It's pretty special.
Festival that came long before Cupid's arrows and Hallmark cards. Are you curious to learn more?
Well, that's not entirely true, because Cupid's arrows are also part of the ancient Greco-Roman pantheon. Cupid, or Eros, is also a god in that group. Now, it's entirely possible that Lupercalia preceded that particular component of the mythology arising. I just don't know. But the point is that, like, Cupid's arrows have been around just about exactly as long as the Festival of Lupercalia. Just saying.
Well, let's dive into the raw and quite chaotic magic of Lupercalia.
Okay, this is the title screen, because I'm like, this is not Roman music. And also I'm going to turn my sound down a bit, because this is... runs a risk of creating feedback. As many of you know, my ears are fucked and I cannot wear headphones. So I have to use a speaker, but there's always a risk. The microphone will pick up the speaker. And so we try to prevent that.
Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Emma Louise Dyson. You are watching The Wild and Untamed Way, and today I am going to be sharing with you all about Lupercalia. So, Lupercalia was an ancient Roman festival that was celebrated every year from the 13th to the 15th of February. And let me tell you,
Okay, we're in good shape so far. It was a I mean, first of all, in ancient times, multi-day festivals, because they didn't have precise dates for lots of things, but also because we weren't in such a damn rush all the time. We didn't have to be at a place at 7 p.m. because you'd miss it if it were 7:05 or whatever. It just you could have celebrations for days, because believe it or not, for all our advanced technology, people had considerably more leisure time in fucking ancient times. They could have a festival for days.
it was nothing like Valentine's Day as we know it today. This was a festival of fertility and purification, and it was dedicated to the gods and rooted in raw primal energy. It honored life's
Well, that seems like a projection, right? Because like based on everything that we've found out so far, it seems to be rooted in ancient Roman tradition where, Romulus and Remus, the she-wolf nursed them, and that's a weird thing to have humans like benefit from the milk of an apex predator, right? And also like the wolf having power over there's so much lore, there's so much possible symbolism in the story, and in fact there's quite a bit more to it too. Near the cave there's a tree called the goat, or not, is it the goat fig? I think it's the goat fig, it doesn't matter, but its sap is like breast milk, and so there's a breastfeeding cult in the area. There's so much stuff, but it's not like, with the exception of the wolf possibly being a god, but possibly being a literal wolf, it's not really primal energy kind of stuff. I don't know.
untamed forces with animal sacrifices, wild feasting, and rituals designed to cleanse, renew, and ignite fertility. But what makes Lupercalia even more fascinating is how its energy lingers beneath the surface of modern traditions. So while Valentine's Day might feel
I don't know what it means for something's energy to linger beneath the surface, but there are a lot of leftovers, like Cupid, for instance. Eros, still part of the holiday.
very polished and romantic, its timing and perhaps some of its themes are echoed from this far older, wilder celebration. So today we're going to dive into the magical history of Lupercalia. We're going to talk about its rituals, its significance, how its primal energy is still very resonant today. And by the end of the video, you will see Valentine's Day in a whole new light. And if you like this kind of content and you're
Well, I mean, you can't have multiple holidays on the same day. I think it's pretty much beyond question at this point that Christians, as Christianity grew and spread throughout the years, there was a deliberate effort to like annex existing holidays and incorporate them into the religion so that people could keep their holidays. But it's also possible to have multiple holidays going on at the same time, right? Like you can, for example, have I may be mistaken on the timing, but you can have Kwanzaa and Hanukkah going on at the same time, right? Like, and you could have St. Patrick's Day and Krampus Day. Like, you can have a couple of years ago, Easter and Trans Day of Visibility happened to fall on the same day because Trans Day of Visibility is always on the same day, but Easter moves around based on the moon phases and whatnot. And so Easter happened to fall on Trans Day of Visibility, and the conservatives lost their minds. But you can have different holidays fall on the same day. You really can.
Fascinated in learning more about the history of many of the celebrations that we celebrate today, do make sure that you like, that you subscribe, and you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. So let's start by...
Yes, do subscribe, ring the bells, hit the like, hit the share. We really, really need the share because the algorithm has been extremely unhelpful for a while now. It is not showing videos to people. The only way people find out about what we're doing here is if you share, put it on socials, put it on all the... Send it to your redhead uncle who will learn something and be mad at you about it. Send it to the people who will be interested in this kind of stuff and everything else we do here on this channel, because we try so hard and the algorithm is not helping. So please help.
Exploring the origins of Lupercalia and its connection to Roman gods, legends, and the cycles of nature. Lupercalia was one of the most ancient and celebrated festivals in Rome. It was held every year from the 13th to the 15th of February. Its roots go deep into Roman mythology, the cycles of nature, and it makes this festival about both.
Well, it's not really so much the cycles of nature as the story of Romulus and Remus, who founded the city. It's like, it's local lore, you know? It's not really the cycles of nature, but I digress.
Both fertility and also purification. So the festival name comes from Lupercal, which is a sacred cave. And according to legend, this was where the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus, were suckled by a she-wolf or a lupa. So this cave and the wolf itself became really powerful symbols of protection, vitality, and connection to the wild forces of life. Lupercalia was dedicated to faunus.
Well, and not just like general wild forces in a modern fluffy bunny pagan Wiccan kind of way, but like specifically the she-wolf. And that is important for a couple of reasons. For one, it gives the Romans this association with wolfiness as an identity, as a people, but also it shows that for all the might of Romulus and Remus and the great things they've done, it was because they suckled from the she-wolf. And so there's still a feminine power above them that's imbued them with the ability to be strong. And, you know, Rome eventually turned super fucking patriarchal, but that wasn't inevitable because it didn't start out that way.
The Roman god of fertility, agriculture, and wild nature. And he was Rome's version of the Greek god Pan, also known for his untamed animalistic energy. The festival was also tied to Romulus and Remus, honoring the foundations of Rome and the.
Also, as we just discussed, the god was later associated with Pan, and then his imagery changed. But originally, he was more of a Tom Bombadil kind of critter. But never mind.
Strength of its people. The primary purpose of Lupercalia was twofold. First, it was to purify the city and its people, clearing away anything that might block abundance or fertility in the year ahead. And secondly, it was to ensure fertility, not just for the people, but also for the land and the livestock. For the Romans, survival depended on this cycle of purification and renewal, making Lupercalia both practical as well as deeply spiritual. This wasn't a reserved or solemn celebration. It was wild and physical and full of vitality. And it's no.
Like many festivals of the time. Like, people didn't have this whole Puritan preconception that they do today. They went wild with every festival because why wouldn't they? You know? I was looking up on the side whether the Lupercal cave is still around, because since Rome has been continuously inhabited since this time, unlike the empty tomb, there's no opportunity to lose track of the cave, and yet somehow they still managed to lose track of the cave. But we know from ancient descriptions that the cave was in the Palatine Hill, and we have found a big old fucking cave buried under the Palatine Hill. And we have a suspicion that it might be that particular cave. Now, the reason it's buried and partially collapsed is it seems to be that it was Augustus and Tiberiana built a residence on top of the hill to like benefit from the mythology. And then after their house fell into disrepair and ruin and was pulled down and whatnot, it covered the cave as well. Oopsie. which may have something to do with the eventual fall of Rome, perhaps, but whatever. We did find the cave again in 2007. I'm trying to pull up images of what we found, but the internet is being very rude about it. So let's see. We've got, you know what? I'll just open this and see if I can. Okay, we can kind of. So here's the Lupercal. 2007, a vaulted chamber was discovered under the hill by Italian archaeologists close to the ruins of the House of Augustus. The chamber was 16 meters underground in an area previously unexplored. Archaeologists used laser scanners, endoscopes, and camera probes to investigate the space for fear it might collapse. The circular structure measures 7.5 meters in diameter and 8 meters high, plastered and beautifully decorated with colored marble, mosaics, shells, and white eagle at the center. Whatever that means. Perhaps it's a literal white eagle. If this is truly the Lupercal, it had been glorified and decorated over the years by Romans who used this as a cult shrine and a permanent reminder of the foundation of Rome, which is exactly what you might expect from a small city that grew into a fucking empire. That the holy cave might get more and more decorated and become more and more shrinified over the years. And that's what we've got for an image. It's not great, but there it is. There are a couple other purported images floating around, but they're very hard to get the pages to open because the internet is rude. Here's one from Reddit, which shows a hole in the ceiling and a light bulb hanging through. I don't know if they put the light bulb through a hole that was already there or they drilled one. Not great, but yeah, that's another scene of the roof. Okay, we get a side of the dome, and it looks like this may have been like the top of an entrance. And then we've got some collapsed rubble and whatnot. We've got a section of the wall that fell down. And okay, cool, a diagram. So here's the house up top. No one asked you, Google. The house up top, backfill, sand, rock, and the archway, and the cave, and rubble. And perhaps the cave was originally a natural cave, and they tried to enlarge it to make it into a proper shrine, and it collapsed. That's a possibility too. It does happen a lot when humans try to do that kind of thing. So yeah, but hey, it seems the cave still exists, and it's even niftier than we originally thought.
Surprised that the Romans embraced it so fully, and it reflected the untamed spirit that they associated with both their gods and their own identity. The festival began in the Lupercal cave, where priests, which were known as Luperci or Luperci, performed rituals to honor Faunus and the legendary founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. One of the key rituals involved the sacrifice of goats and occasionally dogs. Now, before we go any further, let's just be clear. I don't condone this kind of behavior at all, and I'm certainly not suggesting that you add it to your Sabbath celebrations.
Yeah, don't sacrifice doggos. I mean, in fact, don't sacrifice things in the religious sense. It's not. I understand as omnivores, we have to eat meat, right? Like you can be a vegetarian, you can take supplements for the missing nutrients and whatnot. But like in a time before there's supplements, you have to eat meat, you know? So like it's part of our biology. There's no real way around it. We don't photosynthesize. It's most unfortunate. But don't be cruel to animals, preferably.
But for the Romans, these sacrifices carried symbolic significance. Goats represented fertility, while dogs symbolized purification and protection. The Luperci or the Luperci would then smear the blood of the sacrificed animals onto their foreheads in a ceremonial act, which was
oh yes, that was the whole thing too. Is like the high priests would like take the blood and they'd do a little mark on the forehead, right? Like just like Christians do today for Ash Wednesday. They'd make a little mark on the forehead. But then once you were blessed, you could laugh and then wipe it off, and it would leave a blood smear on your face, and it was a whole thing. But yeah, you needed somebody with a blood marked face to whip you with the strip of flesh to like improve your childbirth somehow. How the fuck that kind of tradition develops, I don't even know. But there we are, ancient Rome. as you might expect from ancient times, was considerably more brutal and superstitious. Yeah, humans be like that sometimes.
Immediately followed by a cleansing ritual using milk. So this combination of blood and milk symbolized the shedding of the old and the renewal of purity. And this, as we know, is a theme that ran through the entire festival.
Now, you may be thinking, blood and milk, you gross, but remember, when we talk about fertility, we're actually talking about reproduction. It's just a substitution of a word for polite conversation. And when humans reproduce, you get two things: blood and milk. Childbirth is very, very bloody, especially back in the old days before medical technology helped us minimize the amount of damage, right? And milk. Like, blood is how birth happens, and milk is how you sustain new life. And this is very closely linked to the point of the festival, the she-wolf who kept Romulus and Remus alive so they could later found Rome. So yeah, you need both for this kind of fertility thing. It's not so much about purification, it's about healthy young who survive.
Once the formal rituals were complete, the festival then moved onto the streets, where the Luperci, now carrying strips of
Bree knows literally everyone. She pops into the comments saying, "Is that Wild and Untamed Emma?" And so I checked, and the channel is called The Wild and Untamed Way. Bree just knows everyone and most of everything, it turns out.
goat hide called February. They had these strips of goat hide and they ran naked or nearly naked through the city. And this would not just be the loop.
Honestly, if you're not running naked through the city, what are you even doing? You know?
But it would also be men would run naked through the city and they would strike women and crops and even other men with these strips of goat hide. And the act...
and that's where we get the term stripper. Wait, no, that's not quite right. It wasn't just men, of course. Like, that's sort of like the later end of things after the patriarchy started to set in. Depending on what it is you're blessing, sometimes you wanted a woman to do it.
Was actually believed to bless them with fertility, to ease childbirth, and to promote prosperity. And yes, women actively sought to...
Also, modern language. In the old days, fertility and prosperity were the same thing, right? Like, the more crops you had, the more prosperous your farm. The more cattle offspring you had, the more prosperous your family. The more children you had, the more prosperous and virile as well that you are, you know? So, like, your prosperity was linked to your fertility, whether it's your fertility or your crops or your cattle or whatever it is you do. Fertility is pretty key to whatever. Your success depends on your ability to help things reproduce.
Be struck by these strips of goat hide. It wasn't just chaos for chaos's sake. There was actually magical intention behind it. But if that wasn't weird enough, perhaps the most tantalizing part of Lupercalia was its matchmaking element. So some accounts suggest that men and women were paired off through some sort of like lottery system. I don't know, throw your car keys in a bowl. And
or you know, if you whip somebody and then they whip you back, maybe it's a match, perhaps.
Names were drawn and the pairs would then spend the festival together. Now, let's be real. This wasn't about polite conversations over a cup of tea. Lupercalia wasn't shy about its focus on fertility. So it's fair to say that these pairings likely included some kind of sexual component with the intention of honoring the life-giving forces of nature. So whether these couples stayed together after the festival or they went their separate...
That seems like another modern projection, right? Because there wasn't really a concept of the life-giving forces of nature as a general thing. Like, there were specific gods, which by many, even then, were understood to be the personification of the forces we observe in the world. Like, if you needed rain, you would pray to the rain god, not because there necessarily is a rain god, but to be a personification to receive your blessing. It's almost a manifestation kind of thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Lots of people did take things very, very literally and thought there were these literal gods running around. Lots of people. They started cults. They started killing people who committed heresies and whatnot. They still do that today. But it was also kind of understood that they were just stand-ins for the forces of reality that you wanted to interface with. But there wasn't this over sense of like nature as a power. That's almost a monotheistic adaptation to this old kind of paganry. There were gods who had more power over nature than others, like Demeter, for example, with making the plants bloom, like all the plants. And to a lot of people, all the plants equals all the nature. But there's a lot more to nature than that, like, climate and volcanoes and lots of other things. So yeah, there's more to it than just that. And this concept of natural forces as in one Gaia type entity, like you get Gaia as the spirit of the earth, but not in the same way we think of it today, in this monotheistic, the whole world is a god sense. That's more neo-paganism.
But ways is kind of less clear, but the ritual itself reinforce the raw and unapologetic celebration of connection, vitality, and human passion. But how did such a wild and untamed festival transform into Valentine's Day as we know it today?
Well, I don't know that transform is really the correct way to look at it. Like, this was an old festival. It had been carried on for centuries and centuries. The Christians came in, tried to put the kibosh on it. People don't give up their traditions that easily. And so you've got every single holiday that has been celebrated widely. And you'll notice most of them happen to fall somewhere around the wheel of the year. That's not coincidence. But they've got this story about this martyred saint. And so they're just like, boom, saint on that day. And then the mythology starts to grow about the saint that happens to blend in kind of tangentially with the understanding of the original holiday. Now, obviously, nobody's running around with strips of sacrificed goat flesh anymore, at least not that I've seen in the news. But, state media, we're not going to get all the news that's fit to print in the land of the free and home of the brave. But details. There are different traditions. But this is often steered by the church. They're saying that's not appropriate. Maybe do this instead. And of course, a lot of what we do today only got started when the corporations got their hands on, wide-scale marketing, radio and television. We see that with a lot of things that seem like they're forever traditions. Like, we know ancient people used wedding rings. They didn't use diamonds. That's a 20th century thing. That's a marketing campaign. That's, do you really love the person if they don't get you a diamond? That sort of deal.
Let's explore how the Christian church tried to stamp out Lupercalia and why its energy still lingers beneath the surface. So, as a wild and unapologetic pagan festival that Lupercalia was, it was only really a matter of time before the Christian church decided that it had to go. And by the 5th century, the Roman Empire was well on its way to becoming a Christian stronghold, and festivals like Lupercalia, with their blood sacrifices and their naked rituals and their unapologetic celebration of fertility, didn't exactly fit into the new religious narrative.
Like a lot of older festivals, there was a period of time where in Rome, both the new monotheistic religion and the old polytheistic religions they coexisted. Like, Constantine himself built a big old shrine to the Jesus man, but also built shrines to other gods. He wasn't exclusively Christian, because people in a polytheistic religion don't believe you have to be. And honestly, Christianity doesn't call for that either. even if you accept all the stuff about Yahweh and whatnot, all that says is that you have to put Yahweh first. Not that you can't have other gods, just that they can't be more important than him. That's what the first commandment says. Why would that be a problem unless there are other gods, you know? But also we see several other times in the Bible, the chosen one, the hero of the story, the most favored by God, is praying and worshiping and giving offerings at other gods' temples. Solomon, for example, put his stamp of approval as king on the temples of two other gods being built right in Jerusalem. And yet he's the most favored because it wasn't actually a problem until things got edited a little, shall we say. Details, though. Details. The point is, it wasn't a conflict to be both a Christian and a polytheist at the time. It wasn't until the church started changing the rules and trying to force everyone to be only a Christian that we started to have to deal with the older holidays. And this is one of the weirder bits in history because Rome originally became great based on this idea of Roman superiority. Much like modern nationalism, they thought they were the best and everyone else should be conquered and given the great gift of being brought up to their way of life or something. Hence the festival. This festival is a big part of Roman superiority. It's our city is the best, our culture is the best. All of this shit is tied up with that. It's on the face about fertility, but underneath it is the origin story of Rome and how it's a city of destiny backed by the gods themselves. It's nationalism, it's patriotism masked as a fertility festival. And so when Christianity came for this holiday in Rome itself, it's a little quirk of history that Christianity didn't get kicked out of the city. They didn't go, no, you're here by invitation. Maybe that's why Christianity did it, was as a power move to show we can take your old national identity and strip it away from you and make you call yourself Christian, first and foremost. It's hard to say.
In 496 CE, Lupercalia was officially banned by the Pope, declaring it incompatible with Christian values. But rather than leave a gap in the calendar, the church introduced Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, conveniently.
It's not really a gap in the calendar. As we discussed moments ago, there are a lot of holidays around the wheel of the year, and February 1st happens to fall roughly between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox. And so there's a node on the wheel, this halfway point between the solstice and the equinox, when the sun starts to come back. The modern pagans call it Imbolc. The Catholics call it Candlemas. So the Christians already had a holiday in February, Candlemas. They didn't have to have one here. It wasn't really a gap in the calendar.
Smack bang in the middle of Lupercalia's dates. So Valentine's Day was then famed as this celebration of love and marriage, inspired by the story of St. Valentine, a Christian martyr who, according to legend, secretly performed weddings for couples when marriages had been outlawed by Emperor Claudius II.
Oh, yes, that's the illegal thing that he did, is he performed marriages for Christians. Right.
Second. Over time, Valentine's Day transformed into a romantic holiday that we recognize today. More roses and chocolates, less naked men and goat hides. But if you look close...
Well, the roses and chocolates happen first, and then there's the nakedness. Maybe not the goat hides. I don't know. That's a season to taste kind of thing.
You can still feel the echoes of Lupercalia's energy beneath the surface. The focus on love, connection, and fertility, albeit far more polished form, are direct descendants of this ancient festival. Lupercalia's wildness may have been tamed, but its themes live on, reminding us that even the most refined traditions often have raw primal roots. And it is a reminder of how much our modern world is still shaped by cycles, forces, and rituals from the past.
Okay, Mark asks, isn't today's Valentine's Day something Hallmark came up with? Not exactly came up with, but kind of exploited. Like we were discussing earlier, there's this whole corporatization of things after the invention of radio and then television. This whole thing of if you really want to show a person you love them, you have to get them flowers. Oh, if you want a girl's attention, you have to get her chocolates. And don't get me wrong, chocolates are there are some people who don't like chocolates, but for people who do, definitely a good way to go. But still, it's just the commercialization of things, the chalk candy hearts and like all that stuff. It was just, if you really want to show you really care, you have to spend money on this particular thing. And Hallmark got in on it too. It's not the only holiday Hallmark tried to pull that on, but it's not like Hallmark invented it. It's just they capitalismed all over it. But nobody thinks of Hallmark cards anymore. They still think of flowers and chocolates, you know?
So why does Lupercalia still matter? Well, the energy is as relevant today as it was in ancient Rome. It's a celebration of fertility, of purification, of wild freedom. It invites us to honor the cycles of life and to reconnect with our authentic selves. The theme of fertility goes far beyond
once again, this is a bit of a modern projection because it's not really about the cycles of nature. It's about the story of the city that happens to involve some of the cycles of nature, but whatever.
Physical. It's about nurturing potential in all forms. So whether it's manifesting a goal, starting a creative project, or deepening a relationship, Lupercalia reminds us to honor the seeds that we plant and to tend to their growth. And you can symbolize.
Now, here's an interesting idea. What if we took some of those strips of bloody flesh and we wrapped them around literal seeds? Would that improve their fertility? Well, we know from later agricultural knowledge that planting seeds with like severed fish heads, for example, definitely improves the fecundity of the seeds planted in that fashion. Perhaps as long as you don't like crush the seed in proto leather and keep it from ever rooting out, you may provide a vital nutrient source, especially in poor soil. Maybe there's something to that got lost in the whole tradition of the thing. Perhaps.
This by planting literal seeds or with working with symbols of abundance like eggs or flowers or milk during this time. Purification is another central theme, encouraging us to release what no longer serves us and create space for renewal.
See, this is another one of the things where it's like a modern version of an older concept, which kind of replaces rather than refines the older concept. This concept of purification, it's not what the ancients used to mean by that. Like, purification would be something like you grind your flour and then you sift out the parts that aren't flour. You purify the flour by removing the impurities. What we generally mean today with purification is like this leftover Christianized baggage concept of removing your sins and getting rid of the negative energies. And it's not really at all the same thing.
Rituals could include a lovely cleansing bath with salt and essential oils, a smoke cleanse with rosemary or sage, or even writing down something that you're ready to release and burning it safely in a fire. These acts really mirror the festival's focus on clearing any...
They do not. Like, there is benefit to these things symbolically, psychologically, sometimes literally, because taking a bath can actually result in greater cleanliness. It's literally true. But they're not the same as sacrificing a goat and cutting strips of its flesh to whip people with to convey them the blessing of greater fertility. It's not remotely related.
Stagnant energy and welcoming in vitality. But what truly sets Lupercalia apart is its embrace of wild freedom, something really close to my heart. So this festival is about breaking the rules. It is about connecting with the raw, untamed energy that is offered.
I really, really like this person's general vibe, but this recasting of Lupercalia in the image of her own ideology is exactly the same thing that the Christians did. It's we're going to remake the holiday into something that suits our ideology. And it's not considering what the holiday for what it is and the traditions it comes from and what it symbolically represents. Like following strict rules of sacrifice is not the same as wild freedom. You know, no, that's not that.
Buried in modern life. It's honoring this by dancing and moving or creating without restraint. And you can celebrate your authentic primal self through self-love rituals with rose quartz and red candles or honey. You know.
And if you want to participate in a self-love ritual, well, friends, you're going to need to hydrate. Hey folks, I've been working hard on my health, and so far I've lost over 140 pounds. A huge part of good health is hydration. That's why I'm thrilled to partner with Epic Water Filters. Check this out. Not only can you say goodbye to expensive bottled water, but these filters are made in the US, so no tariffs, and they're made to fit your life. From these lovely pitchers I can fill from, to sink units, to portable filters that fit in your reusable bottle. With Epic, I can refill from nature's water sources and not have to worry about bacteria and whatnot. But also, send back a used filter to be responsibly recycled, and they'll send you a free replacement, saving you and the earth even more. Want to save a ton of money, be healthier, and build a better world? Head to epicwaterfilters.com and enter code EMBER15 at checkout for 15% off. Don't settle for random water. Upgrade to Epic. All right. Yay, we did a capitalism. Ed Mark says, nice segue. Thank you. I like to think after several months of doing this, I'm starting to maybe get the hang of it. I feel like we've been doing this so long that I feel like I may need to re-record it because we've already reached a point where that past Ember is visibly divergent from present Ember. People change kind of fast, especially during second puberty, but I don't know. That past Ember doesn't make me uncomfortable in the way some other past Embers do, although I do cringe a little bit at some of her choices. The no eyebrows thing certainly was a look. But, you know.
The tools that remind you of your inherent power and your passion. To connect to Lupercalia's communal spirit, prepare a seasonal feast to share with loved ones or enjoy on your own as an offering of gratitude to the cycles of nature. And you could also reflect on the abundance in your life and the
perhaps you could make a goat-based dish. And I know a lot of Americans today don't goat. They just don't. But there is a lot of Greek, Middle Eastern, and other parts of the world cooking that uses goat, and some of it is really good. So maybe, you know, if you've been trapped in a European dietary box for a long time, maybe, you know, globalize your flavor palette a little and try something a little, you know, goated, perhaps.
gifts that Mother Earth provides you. And for those of you that want to draw inspiration from the festival's origins, working symbolically with animal energy, so meditating on the goat or the wolf, as they are representations of fertility and protection and wild instinct, can be really powerful. You might even want to add their imagery to your altar as a nod to Lupercalia's history. At its heart, Lupercalia is about liberation and passion.
I do love an eclectic altar. You know, I mean, I love the stones, I love the crystals, I love all the different things, but like having altars with like little symbols of all the different things that you've incorporated, like not just virtue signaling, like putting the symbol of it on the thing, but like getting involved in the thing, learning about the thing, maybe even participating in the thing, and then adding a representation of that thing to your altar, because it is overall a collection of your, shall we say, metaphysical experiences. It's to channel your energy. That's what it's for. And I love to see it. Oh, hey, you know what else I love to see? A Lilith.
Hello. Hello. Sorry, I had to go handle something.
It happens. Life gets lifey and whatnot. What are your thoughts on goat strips and Lupercalia generally?
Woohoo. I haven't been able to catch up yet.
Oh, I see how it is. A Lilith of the Valley. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Mark
I am
says,
here.
you're doing better than me. I took it personally when Michael Caine said eyebrows. There should be 2 of them in Miss Congeniality. Oof, that's rough. I learned a little bit about eyebrow care from my older daughter, because I was like, I can't. So Bree says I just shave my eyebrows off and draw them on how I want to. I did that for a little bit. I realized it would take some practice to get good at it, but here's the thing. I'm very poor and I can't afford replacement makeup. So I can't actually draw them on every time. So, oof. But my youngest is, well, my older daughter, the youngest of the first, it's not important. She doesn't have like a monobrow, but she has like a few hairs in between, and it drives her nuts. So she shaves in between, and that's like all she does is just shave in between. And I'm like, that's much more manageable. Now she doesn't have like the super thin ultra femme eyebrows like Emma here has, but her eyebrows are cute. They're fine. They're clearly a woman's eyebrows. And the fact that she doesn't have to thin them out super much and they're still fine, it's a workable solution. It's I'm like, okay, I can get away with that. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, over the years, mine are now like so pale. Like mine are almost naturally shaped like that, but you can't see them because they're so pale. And like my hair is obviously darker. Like this is my natural color, so.
Well, I mean, eyebrows, they tend to be a slightly different color than your main thing. So like, yeah, yours are very faint. We can see them, but they are definitely faint. Mine are considerably less faint, but there's a lot more pale hairs than there used to be, so they look thin. I'm doing this badly. They look thinner. Like this one. You can see that the very tippy top of it is way up here, even though it's fainter. It looks like shadows on the top side of my brow, which is not super helpful for beauty reasons. But they do look thinner than they used to because many of the hairs are literally thinner, but there's still hairs there. It's just bodies are weird, folks.
Yeah, they are. Like the only time I've really ever had to like color mine in though is like when I used to dye my hair black a lot, because then it makes it look like I don't have any. Like it looks like I have just a little teeny bit right there, and that's it. Because the contrast is just so much.
That's fair. There was actually a period when I trimmed when I first started caring about my appearance. I would trim them like way the fuck back to the point that it was only pale hairs at the very edges, and then I would have to color in the pale hairs so you could see that there were eyebrows. But it's such a pain. I still have so many of the cutters. They make like a special kind of razor specifically for eyebrows, but they're also not really designed for eyebrows because they're a weird shape, and it's whatever. But I still have them. I may do it someday if I time is always the issue, because
Always.
when I'm not on camera, I'm setting up stuff for the next time I'll be on camera, or I'm doing medical things. I do. Oh my goodness. It's tangents upon tangents. But as many of you already know, there's many treatments that I have to do. There are several different things that have to be done every single day. And then there's some things that are like every other day. And sometimes those line up, and it's just a whole fucking thing. It takes hours a day just to not die. Fuck. Yeah. Anyway, we're almost done with Emma here. So let's see what else she has to say.
And renewal. So whether you create an elaborate ritual or you simply take a moment to reconnect with your wild side, this festival invites you to release inhibitions, to honor the cycles of life, and to nurture the fire of...
How does that song go? Release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can do it.
Yeah, I don't remember who did that.
Transformation.
That was one of the like super popular summer songs when I was, I think, in high school. It might have been later than that, but I was younger.
I don't know. I can't place the year. I can't even place the whole damn song. I'm just like, I am not getting a copyright strike from my bullshit singing. No.
There's a reason I don't.
So there we go, folks.
There's a what now?
There's a reason I don't sing on stream ever.
Well, pluses and minuses, I suppose. Practice, folks. You know, I mean, most of my practice these days has been going into like voice training and shit, which I realize not going super well, but details. Singing. When I was a very small child, I ran into a professional singer. And I was amazed. I was like, you sing really good. And he was like, well, thank you. And I said, how do you sing really good? Because, you know, when you're a kid, everybody's just like, oh, everyone is born with natural talent, but nobody's that talented. That's not nature. There's something else. And so I'm like, how do you sing so good? And he says, I practice every single day. Now, to get better at something, you don't necessarily have to do it every single day. But if you want to get better at the maximum possible speed doing it every day, the more rehearsals you have, the better you're gonna get. But don't overdo it. Like I learned more than once with my physical therapy, don't try to push too hard and get extra gains, because if you hurt yourself, you're gonna lose progress while you recover from hurting yourself.
I used to be able to sing decently. I did several musicals, but that was 15 years ago now.
Yeah. But yeah, singing every day, it's good for the soul, folks. Even what is that old phrase? Dance like nobody's watching, sing like nobody's listening, something dark side.
Come to the dark side, we have cookies. Everybody loves
cookies.
And boobies.
We do. In fact, I have not shown you. It's been a whole weekend. It's been Valentine's Day, and I haven't grabbed my boobie in front of you folks. We've been missing out.
We did a whole bad romance and you didn't show your boobie? We did.
It was romance, not boobies.
Yes, but the name of the show is Java and Jugs. Java and Jugs. Jugs also booby. Birdie.
Oh goodness. Deviant says, yes, it does. Shame on you, Ember. I know. So, okay. There's a couple of different things that make me feel less bad about my voice, which is one of the reasons I haven't been trying nearly so hard. Part of it is because there's only so many hours in a day. And it turns out I can't actually do voice training while I'm doing my physical therapy because I'm breathing with so I can only do so much in a day. But also, while I really don't like the sound of my voice, I have heard women who sound a whole lot more masked than I do, and they're still very obviously women. And the second is finding out I was intersex weirdly helped a lot, because I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's genetic variance and shit mixed up in here. It's not just that I'm not trying hard enough or something ridiculous like that. Like there's genetic shit mixed up in here. So it's a little bit of pressure off in that respect. So both things help. I'm still not happy with how I sound. It's still really, really hard for me to edit my own videos. I realize that's true for a lot of people who don't have gender dysphoria. They don't like to hear their own voice, but like, fuck. But we're working on it. You know, when I listen to, I do a video journal entry every single day for future me's benefit. And so I can go back and look at, you know, how I looked, what was going on, what I sounded like, and so forth, all the way back to day one, which is when I got my legal papers back. I was already part way through everything at the time, but like I needed somewhere to put a day one. And so that was that day. I can see how I looked and sounded and acted on day one. I can see how I looked and sounded and acted 6 months ago. And it does change. Like, I'm still changing, you know? And so it's hard, but it's also just like being in puberty the first time, right? Like we all remember being 13-year-olds and being like, something grow, damn it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I just have to be patient with my body and let it do its thing. Answer says I'm not allowed to be on Dove and Jugs because I don't have jugs. I have flapjacks. Hey, flapjacks are nice too, honestly.
Hey, flapjacks are awesome.
Damn it, I'm getting hungry again. So Mondays are hard for another reason, because we do double streams. We do Java and Jugs, and then I immediately come over here to do Learn Together Live. And that means I have to eat before Java and Jugs. And I typically only have a small breakfast sandwich, which is fine. It keeps me from like starving to death or having like a low blood sugar crash or something. But it's not much food. And I start to get prone to being hungry. Like the rest of the week, it's not as much of a big deal because I only have to do this show and then go eat something. But, you know, with the two shows together, it's close to 4 hours. Sometimes it is 4 hours of show, you know, and that's a bit more, you know. I mean, I can go longer. I won't die, but like I need to take medicine. And like that's my excuse, right? I do actually need to take medicine, and I do actually need to have food to take the medicine and not become ill and lose the medicine. But I get hungry, and it's very distracting, which is weird because for so long I didn't experience hunger. I would just get headaches.
Yeah.
Bodies change. It's fine. Anyway, I digress. Let's finish poor Emma here.
Lupercalia might belong in the past, and there are lots of things that should stay in the past, but its magic is timeless. It's that festival that invites us to reconnect with our wild and untamed selves, to honor the cycles of life, and to celebrate renewal and passion and freedom. And if you're feeling inspired and you are ready to work with this energy, don't forget to download my free cord cutting bundle. It's perfect for purification.
A cord cutting bundle?
What?
What the? I realize she's probably going to do a capitalism here, and honestly, I can't really condemn that because I do capitalisms now. But still,
yeah, but it sounds like woo capitalism.
Well, I just hope that it's not like a literal cord cutting bundle. Like you're going to have a baby, and instead of doing it with like antiseptics and sharp medical scissors and clamps and things, instead use this magic ointment and then light a candle. And you know, I worry. Emma's probably not that kind of person, but when somebody starts talking a little bit woo flavored, I fucking worry about that.
Yeah.
Rituals, offering you a full moon ritual, a guided meditation, and a workbook to help you to release what no longer serves you. You'll find the link in the description below. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this crazy ancient festival. How will you be celebrating? Will you be celebrating Lupercalia this year? Will you be focusing on purification and fertility magic, or will you be embracing?
Nobody celebrates Lupercalia. Like no one is going to sacrifice a goat, smear blood on their forehead, and chase people around with bloody strips of goat flesh. If they tried it, they would go to jail. The cops will not understand. You may get out of any criminal charges by saying First Amendment, but you will still go to jail first, you know? If you don't get shot. I mean, can you imagine someone running down the street with blood on their forehead, with whips made of bloody goat flesh, trying to hit people with them? You might get shot. Just don't.
Yeah. Celebrate responsibly. How about that? Be responsible about it.
Yeah. Only whip people with consent, whether it's a bloody whip or not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, I have a whip right over. You know what? I'm just going to leave that there.
Releasing your primal energy. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I always love to hear about what your practices are, what your ideas are, and what your thoughts are. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to like the video, please subscribe to the channel, please, and also hit that notification bell. You are not going to want to miss what.
Yeah, what she said. Do those things because it helps. It helps ever so much. Leaving both a like and a comment is more than just twice as effective in the algorithm. It has a separate metric for detecting people who both like and leave a comment, because I don't know, it has some kind of multiplicative effect. No one really understands the mysterious ways of the algorithm, but it does seem to have more of an impact. But also definitely subscribe, but also definitely hit the share button. There's so many issues with the way things are running on the YouTubes these days. I realize a lot of views don't get counted for some bullshit reason or other, whether a person has an ad blocker on and so it doesn't count, or who the fuck knows what. But there's also less traffic on YouTube than ever, possibly because they changed the algorithm again and people got fed up and aren't coming back. I don't know. Maybe there's better stuff on one of the streaming channels now. I don't know. But you've heard from many streamers that views are way the fuck down, and it's killing videos, you know? Like a couple of videos last week vanished into the void because no one watched them. This video, for instance, it's not even remotely close to staying around. Now, what happens when it doesn't meet its threshold is the video will still exist. So people with the notification, people with the link, whatever, can still watch it, but it won't be visible if you go to the channel. You can find it through the playlist even, but it won't be visible. And that's unfortunate because, you know, this may or may not be my greatest work of all time. It's not my greatest work of all time, obviously, but like we put a lot of work into these shows, and to have them just vanish, it kind of sucks, you know? So please do share. It's really important to build an audience so that the videos become persistent, you know?
Yeah.
It's an oof.
Comment.
Oh, wow.
Comment, people.
Teal Swan kind of killed YouTube woo for me. And, you know, I don't mean to like guilt trip anybody. Those of you who are here, you're the ones who are here. I very much appreciate you being here, but please share. You're the only ones who can help, you know? All right. Enough with that. Bree says, yeah, my edited videos are barely breaking 20 views these days. That's one of the reasons I don't really make edited videos anymore. I used to try to do a balance, and it was weird because like my live videos would get like 20% of my subscribers, and the recorded videos would get like 80%, and there was no overlap at all. But then recorded video views just went off a fucking cliff, and it takes so much time to produce a properly produced video. My most recent one was the helping survivors. You know, what really you should do, tips from the actual experts. Like, for example, don't call the cops if they ask you not to, because there's reasons why that's a bad idea, you know? For instance, there's a bunch of stuff like that in there. I put months of research into that video, and it's got like 80 views, you know? It's just not worth doing to make pre-recorded, properly, fully produced videos anymore. The only reason I did that one is because it's really fucking important. Fuck. Anyway, enough whining from me. It's more like shop talk kind of stuff, but still, it does get frustrating from time to time. We do put a lot of work and a lot of time into making these shows informative and good and fun, and then they just
They are a lot of fun.
I don't know. Maybe we should do woo streams. Maybe we should talk about how, the Earth is actually an interdimensional prison on a topographically flat plane controlled by the CIA, or fucking some weird. I don't know.
That's for April 1st.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Come up with like as much woo as we can find and crab it into a video for April 1st. Oh, I don't know. Hey, send us your ideas on Discord. We'll see what we can do. Alrighty, folks. That's gonna do it for today. I don't have anywhere in particular to send you next. If there's, I'll take a quick look and see if there's anything nifty on, because you can never be sure. You can never tell ahead of time. But I don't have anything like pre-prepared. Let's see. My subscription feed shows now there's nothing in particular on right now. There's a bunch of the 24/7 streams. There's a bunch of the natural wonder streams like the Monterey Bay Aquarium, Mount Washington Observatory, Namibia Cam. That stuff is all on, but none of our friends is doing the thing. So yeah.
I'm not
I love
seeing
you.
one either.
I do love to redirect. It's my favorite fucking thing to do, but there isn't always someone on to hand off to. Maybe one of these days I'll just say fuck it and do a bonus stream after my own stream. Who knows? We'll see. It'll be fun. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining. Thanks to Miranda for sending a $5 super chat. Happy Arrow Week. Looking forward to the flag. Fuck yeah. After today, I schedule next week's shows, and then after I get that all situated, then I'll work on the flag some. It'll be neat. Lil, $5. Thank you, Lil. And says, you must be a compound of beryllium, gold, and titanium because you are beautiful.
I had to get my.
Yay. And Seth, ambushed apostate, sent $5 saying, thanks for being awesome, Ember. You rock. Thank you all. Thank you. Very much appreciated, especially super chats, because once again, affording food is hard. I appreciate it very, very much. And as always, thank you guys for being here, seeing you folks in the live chat, hanging out with y'all. That's why we do lives, and I appreciate it very much. You brighten my day, you make me laugh, and occasionally I learn when I'm wrong, which we all embrace the joys of being wrong, don't we? That's a whole thing that's coming up later. Stay tuned for that. But thank you. And as always, remember, you don't have to pretend your religion invented all the other religions' traditions ahead of time somehow, because you are better than religion. Toodles. Mwah.
Bye.
Thanks to all our patrons and top-level members for January. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkisson, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Lilith, Ember Lynn, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, Lil of All Trades, Deviant Outcast, Secular Feelinist, Kelly King, The Detroit Atheist Queen, Geo Sam, Thriver Scapegoat, The Godless Engineer, Why Because Weed Bro, and Katie Bluebird. And you can add your name here next month by signing up at patreon.com/betterthanember or by joining Emberships here on YouTube at the Cinder level, which also includes all the custom emojis, tons of member-exclusive content, member-only live streams, and a bunch of other stuff. I deeply appreciate all the supporters who keep this channel going. Thank you so much. Because of you, we're building a wonderful community that I'm very proud of.
Just like a spark that's breaking out, can't make a stop.